seems that the markets are on fire. We have the S&P 500 hitting new all-time highs, the Nasdaq reaching new all-time highs, the Dow Jones getting close to its all-time highs, and Bitcoin here, we have it on the screen, daily chart where it's consolidating very well in that whole resistance area around 110, looking very eager to break through. In fact, over the past week, it has been consolidating above the 20 and 50 period moving averages. That is the red and yellow lines we see here, which is a good sign. The moving averages are tightening, pushing the price towards the resistance zone at 110. And possibly this July, we could see a price breakout, surpassing that 110,000 resistance or the 112 or zero all-time high for Bitcoin, and then heading to target the $118,000 or $120,000 area, as I mentioned before. So for now, the price of Bitcoin seems to be doing quite well. Here's what I was telling you. The S&P 500 has reached new all-time highs, hitting 6,200 points, an incredible figure. The Dow Jones, which was lagging a bit behind, now seems to be, let's check how much it's practically just 2% away from its all-time high, meaning it's almost there. And the Nasdaq, here we are at the new all-time high. It has reached 22,750 points, just incredible. In fact, from the previous all-time high, it has gained literally 1.5%, almost 2% if we count the peak. It's crazy, folks, how the market is right now. Then what I mentioned to you a few months ago, even since 2022, I've been telling you that we would see this again. Many of you told me no, that I was crazy, but I told you we would see this again. With the euro dollar, I said we'd see it back at 0.85 cents. Right now, it's at 0.84 cents. I told you so. A lot of you were expecting euro dollar parity 1-to-1, and that the dollar would even keep outperforming the euro. I told you, no, that has to be corrected. And for the market to go up, for us to have a bull market, we need to see the dollar price drop below again. Below the euro. And here it is, this time at 0.84, just like I told you. In other words, right now with the dollar euro price at these levels, we basically have everything in place for the bull rally to start, since we have more than enough room for this to keep growing. It's the same story with the DXY. I told you, below 100 points, and here it is at 96 points. So that's great. It looks like everything is lining up. Gold is still at all-time highs here. It's still consolidating this whole area. As for gold, we know it wants to keep breaking new highs. And given the current global situation I mentioned to you, this has to keep going up. I already told you that the issue of inflation right now has all the big millionaires, major banks, investment funds, basically everyone with their backs against the wall, and they're looking for ways out however they can. They're looking for exits in gold, they're looking for exits in real estate, they're looking for exits in Bitcoin, they're looking for exits in index funds, they're looking for exits in the Magnificent Seven, they're looking for exits in the S&P 500, they're looking for exits in Vanguard, they're looking for exits everywhere. But above all, what they absolutely will not do under any circumstances is hold dollars. In other words, get this into your head, holding dollars is forbidden unless you want to. End up losing a huge amount of money every year because of inflation. That is, unless you want to go broke and end up poor over time, don't save in fiat currency. Get that into your head, invest, 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 is the only thing that will protect you from inflation. Anything other than investing is literally losing money. I've already told you, imagine an average annual inflation rate of 10%. It's true that right now they're telling us it's between 3 and 4%, but we've seen it reach 10%. And really, in our daily lives, in what we can actually see, that 10% is perfectly noticeable. We're talking about, by this rule of thumb, in 4 or 5 years, we lose half the value of our money. We've seen it from 2020 until now. In just 5 years, we've lost almost half the value of our money. Why? Because we didn't invest. Because we kept our money in the bank, kept it under the mattress, or simply because we didn't have any money. Let's move on to altcoins, which is what most of us are most concerned about. Because otherwise, we've seen the S&P 500 at all-time highs, stock markets in general at all-time highs, Bitcoin at all-time highs, but altcoins are in absolute fucking shit. People have already given up on them completely. They think this is going to hell, that we're not going to make money with altcoins, that altcoins already had their moment, that it's really all over for altcoins, but the reality is that's not true. The same pattern I told you about is still being followed. We're looking at Ethereum. As I already told you, let's analyze Ethereum, because depending on what Ethereum does, the rest of the altcoins will either follow or not. But Ethereum is the key to everything when it comes to altcoins. It doesn't make sense to analyze Cardano, to analyze Solana, to analyze Polkadot, to analyze Avalanche, to analyze XRP, if we don't analyze Ethereum, which is the mother of all altcoins. What Ethereum does. Now, for the rest, we have Ethereum right here, daily chart, 200 period moving average. This green line here. We've been consolidating it for almost, literally 53 days now, almost 2 months consolidating that area without a strong rebound. That is touching, as we can see here. We touch, but we don't drop hard. We touch, and we hold. At this moment, what do we have? Something very important. The 20 period and 50 period moving averages crossed a few days ago, but I told you that what really matters is this, what's happening precisely today. The crossover, I'm going to make it as big as possible here so you can see it clearly. The crossover of the 200 period moving average, the green line with the 50 period moving average, this crossover could signal an explosion in the market. It could signal a breakout, but not just any breakout like the usual ones, but a strong breakout for Ethereum. A breakout that could really catapult Ethereum quickly to the $4,000 zone, where it has already been several times this year and at the end of last year. The $4,000 zone, if this pattern holds, if the breakout and the 250 period moving average crossover happen, if it completes, we could possibly see this breakout as soon as this month. This upward move in Ethereum that catapults it toward that zone is the one I mentioned to you, which translates into a mini alt season just with this recovery. It's a mini alt season, meaning we would see altcoins at prices like we saw in March of this year or at the end of last year. And of course, breaking through the $4,000 mark in Ethereum's price would be what we all consider the alt season we've been waiting for, and that hasn't happened yet. That would be the real alt season, where you can say, wow, altcoins are recovering, they're getting closer to their all-time highs again, and some might even set new all-time highs. That's basically what we're all hoping for. And I really think that now we're at the perfect moment. What's more, we're already in July, folks. We're already in the second half of the year. Officially, it's July, the second half of the year, and that means the good part is about to begin. The first half is just the warm-up. It's about fueling up the engine. The second half of the year during a bull run is what really matters. That's when we'll really see the big gains, when we'll truly see the profits, when it's time to reap the rewards. The time to harvest, folks, is approaching. Everything we've sown, everything we've been investing, everything we've been doing the time to reap the rewards is coming in this second half of the year. Now, for now, it all seems to be looking pretty good. So there's still time for those of you who are out there doing other things to get into the market and take advantage of the opportunities available. Bitcoin in the long term now, we're talking about different concepts here. Obviously, the ideal way to build wealth is to work with a long-term perspective, but to take advantage of this bull run, I think there are 6 months left. I think what's left is the rest of this year, 2025, 6 months is what remains. So there's still room here to squeeze some profit out, to make some money from this market, which is exactly what we're trying to do. So there's still profit potential because altcoins are still at their lows. If you invest in Ethereum now, and it just reaches its all-time high, we're already talking about doubling your money in spot, a 100% gain in spot. If you do this in futures with 10x leverage, we're talking about multiplying your money by 10. In other words, just by opening a 10x long on Ethereum right now and waiting for it to reach its all-time high, you're looking at multiplying your investment by 10 with just Ethereum. We're talking about other altcoins being much more beaten down, much lower, and the returns from opening longs are much higher. Obviously, this is not investment advice or anything like that. I'm just sharing what I do myself and what I would do, right? Everyone is responsible for doing what they want, but honestly, there are real opportunities on the table right now. We're getting closer and closer to this really taking off. Up until now, yes, we knew it would happen, but we didn't know the dates. We didn't know exactly when. But right now, the dates are getting more and more compressed. There are far fewer days left before this blows up. There's very little time left for this, folks. So make the most of it. There's also something very important we need to keep in mind. These last few months have seen a massive influx of liquidity into Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. In fact, this month of June, it has been the second month since the Ethereum ETFs launched, the second month with the highest inflows of liquidity into the Ethereum ETF, which means there is still interest in Ethereum. It's not like what many people say, no, I think there's no more interest in Ethereum. The interest in Ethereum is over. Ethereum isn't going to work. No. What's happening is that its moment just hasn't arrived yet. Up until now, we've been in Bitcoin's moment. Now Ethereum's moment is coming, and with Ethereum's moment comes alt season. So stay very alert. For now, look here, neutral. We have a neutral sentiment in the overall cryptocurrency sector, and this includes all the altcoins and Bitcoin. And it's at 50% because of Bitcoin, which holds a large part of that power. It has more than 60% of activities, 64.6% market dominance. And that's why the fear and greed index is at 50 points. If it were just the altcoins, I assure you would be in extreme fear. However, if we look at the greed index for Bitcoin alone, we can see it's at 64 points. It's right there in the greed zone. So we can see that there's positive sentiment in the market, but not in the altcoins. And that's where the opportunities are. When there's fear, when everything is in the dumps, when prices are at their lowest, when there's extreme fear, I always tell you this, I keep repeating it when the market drops, when we're at the bottom, when people don't trust, when people are scared, when we're in extreme fear, I'll say 100 times. I always tell you the same thing, that's exactly when you should buy. when we're in the situation altcoins are in, not like where Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is at all-time highs. There's euphoria, there's greed. Everyone wants to buy Bitcoin. Altcoins, on the other hand, nobody wants them anymore. They're at historic lows. They're in extreme fear. In other words, nobody gives a dime for them. That's really where the opportunity is, where there's been a big drop, a major decline. And in the end, everything will follow the natural course of the market, and it has to go up eventually, folks. So that's where the opportunity to make money lies. And now, at the end of the video, I'm going to explain how we're doing it ourselves in a super simple way. Free, easy, and automatic to generate income for the past 2.5 years. We'll explain it now. But first, I wanted to inform you about interest rates. For now, for this July's meeting, there's a 78.8% chance that interest rates will not be lowered. We're going to stick with that for now, although it depends on what Powell says. Powell is going to speak this week, so we'll see what he has to say. And then on the 30th, we'll see what happens. But now we can confirm, folks, that in September, October, and December, the last 3 meetings of the Fed to discuss interest rates, they are going to lower the interest rates. Here we have it, the 17th of September, there's a 76% chance they will lower them. The 29th of October, there's a 62% chance they will lower them even further. The 10th of December, there's a 53% chance they will lower them even further to 3.5. So, folks, these interest rate cuts are going to accompany us through the second half of the year, and that is going to help us a whole lot with the market's rise, because lowering interest rates, what does that mean? It means debt is cheaper. Credit is cheaper, loans are cheaper. If money is generally cheaper, people are going to seek out that money to then invest it. People don't go to a bank to ask for a loan just to stash it under their mattress. People go to the bank to ask for a loan, to invest it in whatever properties, businesses, stocks, ventures, cryptocurrencies, whatever it may be. So if access to credit is cheaper, there will be more money in circulation. When there's more money in circulation, the stock markets go up, the markets rise, and all of this is very appealing to us in the short term. Then in the long term, well, you already know what happens, I always tell you. Inflation comes and so on, because credit is very accessible and cheap for everyone. But in the short term, it's in our interest, because if we have the knowledge to later protect ourselves from inflation, we should take advantage of it. We'll benefit from the market's rise, we'll take advantage of cheaper access to credit, and we'll invest it in assets that protect us from inflation and help us make money. That's basically the idea, right? In the end, folks, the world works like a money game. Now let's talk a little about the money game. But first, let me tell you about what I was mentioning earlier. The green bots. The future green bots, folks, are free trading bots, completely free, that work automatically and use artificial intelligence. And they're delivering incredible results. We've been using them for 2.5 years. 2.5 years with an average return of 1% per day, which is just insane. We're talking about, with that kind of return and adding compound growth, in these last 2 years, we've made more than 5 times our money each year just with the bots. Despite their bad days and good days, that's still more than 5 times annually. The first 2 years, we're halfway through the the third year, sorry. And so far this year, the goal is to make even more because we're in the year of the Bullrun. These bots are very easy to access. You just register on Bitget using the link down here in the description, where it's free. You get a 10% discount on commissions. And once you access Bitget, you load the balance you want to use for these bots. You go to the trading bots section. Thank you. You look for the green futures bots. And here you'll see options like artificial intelligence, guided strategy, or manual creation. If you don't have much knowledge, the guided strategy is the best and it's automatic. If you have more experience, you can create your own bots manually and so on. Everything is free, but for the guided strategy, you search for the coin you want, in this case, Bitcoin. Keep in mind that the bot should mainly be set to long because we're in a bull market. We're not going to look for short bots because short bots go against the trend and we don't want to go against the trend. Even though sometimes during corrections, some of these bots can give good returns. We're always going to go with the trend. So we look for a bot that really goes long. Leverage of 5x. These bots use 5x leverage. If you do it manually, you can set whatever leverage you want. I usually use 10x leverage, but with artificial intelligence, it's 5x. The profitability we're looking for should be at least above 0.5% daily, which in this case doesn't work for us. 232% APY in the last 30 days. That means that in the last 30 days, this bot has been generating more than 0.5% daily, which is insane. So are we interested in this bot? Yes. What else should we keep in mind? Minimum investment. The minimum to invest in this bot is $10. Accessible to everyone, so that's awesome. Recommended time to stay in this bot between 7 and 30 days. In other words, it's more of a mid-term thing, so we're interested 7 to 30 Daltons IS. Am I going to stay for 30 days? I usually don't stay for 30 days. If it says 7 to 30 days, I stay for about 3 weeks and then I leave and look for another bot. That doesn't mean I leave and just sit around doing nothing to see what happens. I leave one bot, look for another opportunity, and move on to another bot. Then I can come back to this one, of course I can, but I don't always stick with the same bot. I try to use several bots at the same time. I always keep a Bitcoin bot open, and then I look for some of my favorite altcoins. With Ethereum, with Polkadot, with Cardano, with Solana, with Ripple, with Avalanche, with Link. These are the coins I use most often for this type of bot, since they give really good returns. Sometimes with Rose as well, I really like the returns it gives. And then above all, you have to look here at the number of people using the bot, because the more people, the more reliability and trust it inspires. In this case, we can see that this bot is currently being used by more than 15,153 people, which is amazing. Having more than 15,000 active users at this moment using this bot shows that it's a quality bot, a bot that works. Otherwise, there wouldn't be more than 15,000 people trusting and using this bot. And it's very simple. Once you have your Billet account registered, you go here to the green box, load it up, obviously, and click on use. You use the bot, connect, allocate the amount you want to invest in this bot, and then forget about it. They work automatically. That's the best thing about them. They start working, opening and closing trades as the trend goes in your favor. If it drops a little, it buys. If it goes up a little, it sells, and so on. And it keeps adding up small amounts of profit, which in the end, when you add it all up, gives you a good return at the end of the day, the week, the month, and the year. That's why we've achieved these amazing returns. And everyone should know about these bots because they're free, they give really good returns, and people trust them. Thank you. They are accessible to everyone because you can start investing with as little as $10. And the returns they are giving are incredible. Look here, a minimum return in this case of 232%, aiming to almost triple our money in a year. But I'm telling you, it's actually more than that. This is just the calculation for the last 30 days, but it's actually higher. In our experience, we've been averaging about 1% daily. We've applied compound growth, and we've multiplied our investment by more than 5 in a year just with these bots without doing anything else. So I encourage you at least to try them out, to test them. As you know, you can sign up using the link down below in the description where you'll get a 10% discount on all commissions. Every time the bot makes a trade, you save money on commissions, which is amazing. And in addition, there are trading bonuses, which means you get free money from the exchange for completing certain tasks inside. This is free money that you can use to put into these bots, trade futures, or do whatever you want with it. So I encourage you to go for it. And of course, join the Ohana Trading Club VIP as well, where we also have our professional trader who explains how these bots work. If you join the classes, you can also ask him questions. If you have any doubts or anything, you can ask him. It's free for all of you. Ohana Trading Club VIP is free. I don't charge you anything either. Everything I offer you here is 100% free. What matters to me is that you learn how to develop them and truly build these skills, this knowledge, so you can generate income on your own from home, on your own schedule, without having to tell me how you do it or anything like that. Basically, that you can do it. For me, what matters is to contribute. This kind of value, since I can do it, since I can make a living from these things and generate income with them, you can do it too. And if we have automatic tools, free, and that work, and people trust them, well, what more could you want? It's awesome. Here you have it. Go for it. Sign up for Bidget using the link here. Join the VIP club page and get to work with these bots. Give it a shot. At least try them out a bit. You can try it out from just $10 this time, as you can see. So that's it, guys. Go for it. And as I was saying before, on the camera, the world runs on money. It's a money game. We have to be realistic. Secondly, I slicked my hair back. Now this is a real name. Not like that bald guy who got a hair transplant, the one who talks about cryptocurrencies, who now says that since he got hair, he's the Tarzan of crypto. To be the Tarzan of crypto, you need to have a real mane like this one. Not getting a hair transplant in Turkey and then ending up with an afro, that's not being the Tarzan of crypto. Being the Tarzan of crypto is having hair this long. And abs like mine. So, having said all that, as I was telling you, the world works like a money game. From the moment we're born, we're forced to make money. There's no other way. From the moment you're born, you're forced to make money because everything costs money. Your food costs money. Your water costs money. Your house costs money. Even breathing practically costs money. Your clothes cost money. You're not going to go out naked. You're not going to live under a bridge. And you're not going to drink from a puddle when it rains. That's just reality. So we're forced to play the money game. If you don't want to play the money game, you're just being foolish because you're heading toward becoming a slave to society, toward what society wants from you. Especially in a socialist society like the one we have here in Spain, where they drag us into economic dependence on government handouts, little aids and all that crap, where they make you useless and closed off, and they want to keep you there, under their control, right? So that since you're under their control and dependent on them, you're forced to vote for them, vote for them, vote for them, and end up living in a Bolivarian communist society where it's every man for himself because security just keeps getting worse. So I'm telling you very clearly, play the money game, but don't just play for the sake of playing play to win. If you know how to play the money game, you have to play to win because it's something basic and necessary. If tomorrow you need freedom for anything, you're going to have to know how to play the money game very well so that if you go broke today, tomorrow you'll know how to bounce back. That's it. That's fundamental. In the same way that you can go broke and be left with nothing, what do? You don't know where to start. But if you have skills, if you have personal development, if you have financial education, and if you've learned how to make money, you can get back on your feet. And right now, that's a skill I have. I know that in periods of 5 years, I can help people become millionaires, go from zero to becoming millionaires, because I know how to do it. I've done it, and I can do it again. I can do it. 5 years, periods of 5 years. Anyone can come to me, I look at their characteristics, their profile, their circumstances, what they earn, what they save, what they like. And based on that, I can tell you, hey, look, this is what I would do, So that in 5 years, you can go from where you are now to becoming a millionaire. But you have to know how to play the money game. And to play the money game, you have to move your mind, develop skills, study, and make sacrifices. I never get tired of saying that. Develop, learn. If you're not sold, it's because I'm literally seeing it more and more as the days, weeks, and months go by. I'm seeing how people are getting more and more screwed, literally. Because they don't know the money game. They say, yes, we need to make money, but I don't know how to do it. How do I do it? I'm sending out resumes all day, sending out resumes, and they don't call me and whatever. You say, okay, that's what they told you in school is the way to make money. Sending out resumes and waiting for some guy or girl entrepreneur to hire you and say, look, you do this and I'll pay you this much. But nothing beyond that. I'll pay you this much. Meanwhile, the person who hires you, who actually knows how to play the money game, is financially free. What you need to do now is learn how to play the money game and become the best at it. Because one day, you're going to need it. You've got a problem. If you know how to play the money game, you'll be able to solve it. You need to leave for whatever reason. Because imagine you live in an unsafe country. A country that's gone to hell, like Spain, which is going downhill and getting more dangerous every day. And there comes a point when you say, damn, I'm actually afraid my kids might get stabbed just walking down the street. Well, that's normal, isn't it? You're going to have to run away, but imagine you don't have the resources to escape because you don't know how to play the money game. Where are you going to run to? No, you're forced to stay in your crappy, increasingly dangerous neighborhood where in the end, statistics and probability are against you, and with every passing day. As the threats keep growing and you're stuck there, the chances of you getting stabbed, a family member getting stabbed, getting robbed, or having something bad happen to you are higher. With every passing day, just imagine you live in a neighborhood where when you moved there 20 years ago, it was great, super peaceful, nothing ever happened. But now, all of a sudden, that neighborhood has become toxic. And in that neighborhood, imagine that you there and around you, there are 50 criminals. They live there in the neighborhood, they're out and about every day, harassing people, stabbing old ladies, and so on. You live there in that neighborhood. How do you get out? With each passing day, every time you go out on the street, the chances of running into one of these people, even if they don't do anything, get higher. One day they don't say anything to you, another day neither, until one day they do. And why is that? Because you don't have the freedom to escape from that neighborhood. You haven't developed the skill of the money game to be able to say, now I'm free, so now I'll just leave this damn neighborhood for a safer place. For me, for my children, for my family, you can't do it. And that's a shame. That's why I say that sometimes, if you don't know how to play the money game, don't do it for yourself. If you don't want to, do it for your family. Maybe you don't care if you get stabbed walking down the street. Or maybe you're a tough guy, and if someone comes at you with a knife, you'll just punch him and send him flying. But imagine if they did that to your mother, your wife, your daughter. That changes everything. Now you're not so confident because it's no longer up to you. Now, it depends on people who are more defenseless or more vulnerable. And because of you, for not having the resources, for not having tried hard enough, you're making them live in a toxic place, in a place where insecurity and danger keep increasing. And I'm telling you, in the end, the odds are stacked against you. The problem will come and knock on your door. The police will show up telling you that someone in your family has been stabbed. Damn, why didn't I leave earlier? If only I had left here sooner. But of course I didn't have the resources. Why didn't I have the resources? Because I didn't make the effort. And it doesn't matter what problems you have. I've already explained that here. I've had a lot of problems in my life. Serious problems, really tough ones. And while I was dealing with those problems, and was at rock bottom, I was also raising a daughter at the same time. And even so, I managed to get my act together. And there are people who have done it people who've been sick and made it, people who've been in the absolute worst and still made it. There are people who started out with even more debt than I had and still made it. In the end, what excuse do you have for not making it? So get out of your comfort zone, take action, move, because if you don't move, you become obsolete. And right now, in the crypto world, there's an opportunity. In other words, is the opportunity. I've told you before, as soon as the bull run ends, folks, as soon as the bull run ends, I've already told you what I'm going to do. All the positions I have open, all the altcoins, all those things, I sell them, everything. And all that liquidity goes into real estate, into index funds, savings accounts, the Magnificent Seven, safer places, places that really give me at least enough return to fight inflation. Gold, too. But I'm telling you, the opportunity is now, because an index fund can give you, I don't know, an average of 10% per year steadily. But the thing is, the crypto opportunity passes you by. Because now, as soon as the bull run is over, then a new cycle will come. And yes, in the long term, you'll make money. But once the crypto winter starts, as always, it'll be another 4 years. You'll have to wait 4 years before you can enjoy the fruits of your crypto investment. On the other hand, what you invest now, you can enjoy by the end of this year or next year. What you invest now in a period of about 6 months, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, you could probably already be enjoying it. Nothing is 100% guaranteed, but you could probably already be enjoying it. By investing it in other kinds of things, imagine you say, damn, in the crypto world, I took advantage. I took advantage of the bull run this year in 2025, in the second half of the year, by doing things right, I don't know, with your spot investments, your futures investments, your DeFi investments, your investments with the bots I just showed you. And you say, damn, I've made, I don't know, I'm making this up, 30,000 euros. And I started with 5,000. I'm just making this up. Or with 1,000. I made a 30x on some coin. And damn, at least with those 30,000 you end the cycle with, you can say, well, now you've got the start, the foundation to get into real estate. To apply for a mortgage on a little apartment that's in bad shape and use those 30,000 for what I mentioned before. You're part of the mortgage, taxes, expenses, and renovations. And you get started. And you create that snowball effect I always talk about. But you have to start, folks. You have to start and go for it. Go all in. So take advantage of the opportunities you have, because the crypto world is still full of opportunities. You can see I'm excited about how the market is right now, which is honestly crazy. In fact, you've already seen it. It's wild how the market is. Everything is just taking off. But anyway, this is just getting started. This has only just begun. I estimate there are still at least 6 good months left to keep taking advantage and enjoying these gains. So let's go all in. Let's make some money. Everything you earn this year, you'll be grateful for during the crypto winter and lean year, so you can do other things or just get by. So if you enjoyed the video, folks, as I always say, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, especially hit the bell, because if you don't, YouTube won't notify you. I've checked, and if you don't hit the bell, YouTube doesn't let you know. And then follow me on the new Instagram account we created, Ohana Finanzas. It's brand new. We just launched it, so if you show it some support, that would be great. And join the Telegram group, Ohana Finanzas Official, where we keep you updated on everything. So with that, I'll say goodbye, a big hug, and see you next time.